see Kapten once again. This time he's taking on Harrier. Harrier we got to see play last week. And, well, we had an interview with him as well. Always great to hear from him. This time around, though, in game number 1, he's starting off a bit behind. We are already in round 6, though, as these players are flying down the street.
They do indeed, and looks like we are in France again. We have those French-specific road lines, those very short 2 dashes that we see in the middle of the road. You only see it in France, in no other country. And that's about getting the country right. Now,
a lot of info for Kapten.
We have, again, those infos that look nice to have, but realistically, most
How
of
much
the
small
time,
town knowledge does he have?
Yeah. You always hope to randomly find one of those towns or the right D road, but it just never works out.
They're both in the southwest region, down towards Bordeaux. But let's see who's gonna get it. Harrier, as we can see here, down 2,000 points thus far, and it's gonna continue to be down, but this should be minimal damage. Yeah, just 300.
Yeah, it looked a bit... I want to say it looked warm. It looked a bit more western, vegetation-wise. Those forest roads are more common in that area. We are in the Americas. I want to say it looks like Canada.
Blue street signs. It seems like there's a small logo on there as well. Maybe some info useful. You can get an internet domain there as well. I feel like there's a lot of info available. It's just about catching it.
Definitely. I mean,
French text as well. That does help.
French, but
yeah,
there's also some English, so I'm confused. But especially with no front plates, we ship in Quebec. Also, those street lamps, very common in Quebec. And again, it's about combining things to get the right region of the country. But now you need a little bit of more information because Quebec is pretty big.
Are we in the city or are we out in the suburbs? We're about to find out. Kapten has jumped into the water, it seems. And it's going to be up towards the northwest. They were both up there at one point, but ended up shifting off it.
I feel like Harrier was there until the very last second.
Yeah.
Because I didn't even see him switching. That's how much of a last second switch that was.
Is there any cam info off of this? That there's a water drop? Like a blur mesa?
Say this looks like Yucatan in first glance. We had some rock walls and these fences again. Those trees also really look like Yucatan, and we have a Yucatan plonked down from Kapten. He is sending middle of Yucatan.
It's a round 8.
Very recognizable state of Mexico, especially with those exposed rocks along the road. Yeah, both players should recognize it, or at least go with that guess, because that's most likely to be there.
Wow, that was surprisingly close for a plonk, and actually out victorious with it as well. Went just east side Merida, or southeast I should say, both of them. But Kapten closer sends Harrier down to 2,400 health. Now 2,000 points behind as we go into round number 9. Harrier needs something going his way here.
Definitely, and we saw this country a couple of times today already. We are in South Africa again. And is that an area code? I don't think so, no. So they skip it. I think Harrier has learned a lot of area codes for different countries, so that's really what he is aiming for right now. So maybe it is an area code actually, because we've seen it multiple times now, the 08. And again, 082.
082. This is just Johannesburg.
I don't know.
He's going north side.
Yes, the
Pretoria.
012 is in that area, that I know. And we have the 012 again here on Kapten's screen as well.
Well, they're both sending it into Johannesburg without zooming in further. So they have the reach and they have the city. But it was a bit further north. Harrier, we saw, went out of Johannesburg proper up towards Pretoria. And that's going to reward him. 900 damage done towards Kapten. Evens things out a little bit more, but Harrier is still playing from behind. 900
points is actually a lot, considering the fact that Harrier guessed in Pretoria and Kapten was in Johannesburg.
Yeah.
It's just one city over.
That's the multipliers, and it's big for him because now, I mean, here in round 10, again, for those of you guys who don't know, it's, well, even if no one goes down to 0 here, it's whoever has the most points left by the end of this round who comes up victorious. Issue is they both have the same info, and I think they might be lining up. I mean, Kapten is a neighboring country, sure, but are you lining up anything remotely close to a 5k here?
I mean, we have those 3-digit road numbers, which are sorted very well in
He's looking for it.
Norway. Or at least you have to know how the order of them is. And those
10 seconds
clues
left.
are found around here.
Kapten is taking his time looking for the 10k because he knows that if he's close enough... Oh, does he have it here?
He is on a bridge which does not line up. Because
Yeah, I was
we're on a
gonna say the
north-south
water-
road. And
water
that
leads
bridge is
elsewhere.
going northwest, but still close enough.
Close enough, and it
To
is
get
round 10. So even if it doesn't go down to 0,
Yeah.
it's still gonna be game over because that is the last round of this tournament format. And therefore, Kapten will come out 1-0.
Indeed. We didn't see the first half of the game, but the second half already was pretty nice to watch here.
Definitely.
This felt like a moving game. Because I feel like most of the time they try to get the right information. They try to pinpoint even closer than just getting the region guess down. So that's always nice to see.
Well, we go into no move, and once again, I feel like a lot of these no move games have taken us way out into the woods, and this is no different.
It does. But with this vegetation, you really only consider, I want to say, a slight chance of Malaysia, but I think it is Indonesia. Especially with this pavement. Because something similar vegetation-wise could be the Philippines. But in the Philippines, you often have these concrete block roads and not this pavement. That's how you can pretty much almost always rule out or rule in a country. And therefore we should be in Indonesia. We have a lot of palm trees, which you see in Sulawesi a lot. And it was Sulawesi all the way in the north. And that's great region guess within Sulawesi for Kapten.
Round 1, 3,500 damage done towards Harrier. That is not the way you want to start off this one, especially considering that you're already down 1-0. This could be done very quickly if Kapten get one more down like this.
Yes, definitely. That was an amazing guess. And now we are in the Philippines, though. Country, I don't know if you see it anywhere else. Especially this orange tint road line next to the white dash lines. Something you see a lot in the Philippines. But besides that, I think most of the times the Philippines is easy to get the country right. You have those trikes, you have those pavements, you have car meta. There's a bunch of things to use. We have octagonal poles in Philippines, all that stuff, but region guessing is quite rough. But they aren't too far away from each other.
No, both of them in and around the same area, both of them off approximately by the same margin. As we now head into the next round with Kapten still untouched, sat here at 6,000 going into round 3.
Yes,
that's a very straight road.
It is. We are in some desert road in Chile. There's a couple of them, let's say it like that. So there's some ways to learn the roads. Again, you can use... Some players like to learn cloud formations. They look at roads, and because there aren't too many roads, right?
And then
especially
when
in
they
a
get
country
the
like
coverage
Chile.
updated, they get super tilted.
That's happening, yeah. That happens.
I spend a year learning clouds, and then they take new photos.
Yes, definitely.
Also, there are no clouds here right now, so...
I see it in a way where new coverage also brings new meta. So most of the time, there's still stuff that comes with it.
They're both in and around the same area here. Seems like they both have the hunch of approximately where we are. Let's see who's going to be closer, though. Once again, I mean, almost equally far away. I feel like both of them were up there at one point, but they were jumping around like kangaroos here in the end of the round. Not sure exactly where to put their pins down. But I think most importantly for Kapten, stays flawless.
Yes, definitely. It was weird that it was that far north because the road angle didn't look north-south. That's what I guessed a bit further south, I feel like. But yeah, this looks like Tasmania or one of the islands around Tasmania. We have Flinders Island and King Island.
What tells you Tasmania in this? Because I see the bullets and I just think mainland Australia.
I want to say it's just a vibe.
Okay.
And those spiky bushes.
Spiky bushes. If you see spiky bushes and it's in Australia, just go to Tasmania.
You see it sometimes along the coast, even in New South Wales. But I would always send Tasmania here.
Oh, well.
It was Flinders Island. They both went King Island.
Close enough to get away from that one. But hey, you know what? It might be small, but Harrier has finally been able to strike Kapten in make that 30 damage done.
Yeah, getting the right island there can always be clutch, because it is a small island, but it's so far away from like every other possible location. Like, even if you are in Tasmania, that island is a good distance away.
A couple thousand points damage done, even if you don't get it on point.
To take up points, but yeah. I don't know yet how to tell them apart, King Island and Flinders Island. Pretty recent coverage, but on to this round. I've talked about it earlier. We have the front cobbler, so we are put into the Americas. You would consider either the US or Mexico here, but I feel like, especially with this pavement and the vegetation, I really like the California, I guess.
They're both out here. One is towards Sacramento.
We are somewhere a bit more north, but I don't know how far north we are talking.
Both in and around the same area. Once again, both equally far off. It's south side of Los Angeles, down towards San Diego.
That's interesting. That's, I mean...
What got them up there that made it so far south?
Because it was so green. It gets a bit more deserty the further south you go, usually. So...
But no time to rest. We're going straight into the next round. Round number 6. Out in the open again. This time around a little more boreal. Boreal. I can't talk today.
Oh, good. I think this looks like the same location we had on the Fly Me and Spaghetti game.
Yeah.
Would you agree? It was a dirt road when they had it.
I see what you're saying.
It turned out to be, I think it was it the Wyoming round? I'm not sure. But it kind of looks the same. So I want to say it could be around that region again. Maybe I would click between Idaho and Wyoming here to cover a bit more.
Harrier set at 1400 health, would want to get a couple of rounds going his way to even things out a bit more. Seems like Kapten is hedging 4 states, but just going straight in the middle of all of them. Or does he know something we do not know? It's way further north. It's all the way up in Canada.
Ooh.
And that is a massive hit.
Wow.
Kapten almost out off of that one round.
He turns it around. He gets the lead here. It could have been game.
I mean, a bit further towards the north, and that's GG.
So, I don't know how happy he is about that, or how tilted he is for not committing even further north. But I think he should be happy. He is in the lead now. We are on round 7. And again, somewhere in the Americas. I want to say this looks like southern US. I could see this all the way being out there in Texas. I could see this being in Georgia along these lines.
I've said it before, but I'll say it again. When you're in doubt, I love it, because that means maybe these guys are going to be as well. This house doesn't give you the intel you want. No football flags, no anything else to directly indicate the state you're in. But is there a season thing in this, or is everything recorded in fall?
There is, but there's just way too much coverage in the United States. You probably have every season in every state.
Fair enough.
Is that Texas?
It is.
Or are we outside? I think we're slightly outside.
Border. I think it's still in Mississippi. Not Mississippi, but just west of there, exactly.
Either Arkansas or it was Louisiana. But we were in that triangle. But very hard to commit there.
Round 8. One off guess by either of the two here, and that's going to be game. For Kapten, he has a win already. So if he can afford losing this one going into an MP set, but of course he would want to bring it home here.
Yes, and I do really like Harrier's guess. This should be in Sabah, the northern province of Borneo, Malaysia. But region guessing within Sabah is also something I see people struggle a lot with. A lot of just mountain pass roads.
With these multipliers and the amount of health that these guys have left, be off by a couple of kilometers and that could be game over.
Ooh, Kapten is going mainland here.
This is gonna be game. Unless if they're in the exact same distance from the location, which is practically impossible at this point. It should be game. It will be game. And Harrier, able to bring it home, was able to get a really, really good guess in earlier that sent Kapten down 5,000 health. And there he locks it up. So 1 point now guaranteed for both. But who is going to come away with the win here as we head into an NPC?
We do go over to NMPZ again. Love to see it. I don't even know who has the advantage here or who's more of an NPC player between those two players, because I feel like I don't see Harrier playing an NPC too often.
There's something very satisfying with that dust track. It's very symmetrical.
Agree.
You know what I mean?
I really love those dust trails. Dust trail locations are indeed a vibe.
Very beautiful. You just put on some lo-fi and sit and stare at that image for an hour. As we now get the guesses on in, West Side Australia is the first one down. Seems like they're both going to go in and around that area.
Harrier was very confident with it, but Kapten kind of considered Queensland there first.
Good thing he didn't.
He did have some more time to think and made the right decision to switch over to Western Australia.
Well, little damage done here. Could have been bigger. Ended up not being, as we now go to UK? I can't tell. You tell me.
I would?
No, we're
not. No.
No.
We have this red outline, which you see in Taiwan and South Africa. And
okay, so definitely not the UK, thank you.
Yes.
It's rare that I dare to guess. I thought, you know what, I felt good today. I thought maybe this was a time where I go for one, and then it was Cape Town.
Yes. You
Damn
see
colonialism. You're throwing me off.
In double yellow in the UK. If it's solid red, that's something, as I said, you see it in Taiwan and South Africa. I don't know if there's any other country where you get red outlines on the roads.
A tricky one here, potentially, as well.
Looks like the... is it Baltics? I don't know. Are those birch trees in the distance?
It's hard to tell. You can see the player's eyes are fixed on the screen there as well.
Bulgaria here, all the way to the Baltics. Not much to work with. Besides that, we have some signs. You can use them. For instance, if there is no outline on the sign, that's something you see more in the Baltics.
Full focus mode. Here
Estonia
on the face of both of them.
Lithuania are two countries where you have no outline, so if that's the case, I could see it being one of them. And it was indeed Lithuania.
A bit off on the side, both waving as they stood side by side. 8 damage done to Harrier, minimal at that. But hey, we've seen people win with less, so don't count out the small damage done. As we now go into round number 4 and once again taken out into the woods.
We are in the woods indeed. Again, it looks a bit more northern with those pine forests combined with some birches. I think those are birches. Are those birches? I'm not 100% certain. They look like them. Looks like we have some winter coverage, which you also see in a lot of states up there, or provinces, if it's Canada.
I mean, Harrier's looking down. I mean, at least right now, the camera is hovering over Michigan, Wisconsin. Ask if he stays all the way down there, that could be huge. Even only with a 2.5 times multiplier is, now he goes up towards the north. Alberta is where he's at least setting the marker initially.
Yes, I think Canada is a bit more likely than the US, but I would not be surprised if it turns out to be somewhere in the north of the US.
Let's see where it's going to be. They're one state apart. Who's going to get it? It's going to be Harrier closer. Could be big damage, will be big damage. Half health taken away from Kapten.
It's very well-deserved points as well, because if you commit that far west... Because after Alberta, there's really nothing you would guess, because no one's guessing British Columbia and that. So I would say Alberta was the most western part where you could have made a reasonable guess.
Ooh.
So he gets reward for that.
Way out on this tiny island of St. Pierre.
Mm-hmm.
What's the tell here?
St. Pierre only has tracker coverage. I don't know if this is tracker. No. It was Newfoundland.
Bit further up towards the north, but once again, hit onto Kapten as Harrier starting to strike back in this one. I mean, Kapten looked really, really good in round 1, but Harrier able to bring home round 2, and now with a good lead here in round 3 as well. But of course, keep in mind, in a PC, I mean, anything can happen. You're never really in the lead until you've won the game.
Nope, you aren't. I mean, this is some sort of coverage. It is more recognizable than other forest locations. However, Kapten is right on it.
Just like that, they're tied. What a great guess, Kapten. Good hunch on that one.
Yep. And we are in Peru with this pole. It looks deserty flat. So what do you consider? You consider either all the way north or all the way south?
Is Harry just feeling it right now? He's throwing in these guesses insanely fast.
Have some pole markings. There's a good clue for the southern part there in Peru. If that is the southern pole marking, I can tell on my tiny screen. But it is.
Throw off Kapten, but it's not working. At least not this time around. Minimal damage done, but I like the idea of Harrier now. I mean, since we're at such an important time in this game, trying to, you know, change up the tempo a bit, maybe catch Kapten off guard as we once again go into the open.
And we are back again. However, I want to say it looks southern again, but we saw it being right outside Lima the other time. But this case, I want to really say we are in the south. This time I would be very surprised if it isn't the southern half of Peru. However, this time it is a bit more mountainous, and with a bit more, I want to say way more mountainous, because the other round was very flat. So...
Puno and Juliaga, we'll see. Yeah. Both of them are in and around there. Kapten is a bit further towards the east, though. Neither of whom have locked in their guesses just that they're sat practically tied at this point. This round could be very deciding in who comes out victorious.
Yeah, and basically what they are thinking about right now, I want to think, is lining up the road and the mountain range. It's probably something they look for, and...
minimal distance between it, but again, I mean, these minimal distances with the multipliers that we're getting could and most likely will be the deciding factor. Harrier now sat 1,200 points behind coming into round 9. What do we have to work with here?
Yeah, Harrier needs to pick up 1,200 points from Kapten to make it equal. That's not a hard task.
Is this a when in doubt go Lagos?
5 times damage and MPZ.
They're both in and around the same area.
Yeah, this camera quality is way more common in the western side of Nigeria, southwest. So...
let's see.
Let's say they both will end up somewhat in the northwest.
I would have
southwest.
won that round, just saying. I said when in doubt, go Lagos. Should have done it. Didn't matter. In the end. In the end, Kapten wins it. And now, I mean, this is... it's do or die time. 10 out of 10. You need to take away at least 1,700 points from Kapten if you want to win this one, Harrier.
Yes, and we are in India. I want to say this pole looks like a Karnataka pole. So are we in the state of Karnataka here? If they know it, and if it is, I'm not 100% sure, but I think this pole is very, very common in Karnataka. If they know it, or if one of the players know it, we have Kapten right on it, on his map right now.
We've been to India a couple of times today already. Big points have been gotten there, and this time around with 5.5 times multiplier, you don't really have to be that far apart for it to make the biggest of differences. I mean, just a couple of kilometers off would be game.
Yeah, it is a very big... Ooh, we have Harrier switching.
Dangerous.
All the way northeast.
He's all the way up towards Bhutan.
I'm not sure about that.
This is dangerous. He's jumping around. Changing things up, trying to get the win on it. It's not gonna matter. It's not gonna be. Kapten is gonna be victorious. And that's going to be a 2-1 victory for the Swede over Harrier. But with that said, very, very close.